What is going on, everyone? Israel back again with another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the trade deadline. It is currently a week out of the deadline, so definitely a lot of interesting moves can be made. So I just want to cover some of the best players that I think will probably get traded. And this is coming from a lot of the writers as well, so you can take their word if you don't take mine, but let's just get right into this video. So let's start with the position players. The catcher that is most likely to get traded is Elise Diaz from the Colorado Rockies. He has a high buzz factor on whether he's going to be traded. And the Rockies are for sure going to be sellers. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind about that. They're kind of thinking maybe the Yankees could use him. Maybe a couple other teams could use him as well. The Yankees is the main one right now. We'll see what happens with him. It's coming up to the end of his free agency, obviously a free agent next year, so definitely makes sense for the Rockies to trade him. We'll see who needs him, though. I think that's the big thing. Not the best hitter past couple seasons, so definitely interesting to see where he's going to go or what his best option for the Rockies is going to be, but definitely an interesting player that definitely could make some noise and could get traded. Now, at first base, they have Andrew Vaughn from the White Sox. Now, Vaughn, honestly, hasn't had a horrible season, I think. I mean, if you look at the White Sox in general, a lot of the players have had horrible seasons. 11 home runs, 43 RBIs in 92 games. It's not horrible. I think he could definitely help a squad. The thing with the White Sox is just they don't score a lot. They don't have a lot of RBIs. It's just a lot of solo plays for most of the part, with guys getting home runs and back-to-back doubles or something like that. So definitely interesting on that side. But his buzz factor is medium, so we'll kind of see where he's at. He's just the most likely just because a lot of other guys that could get traded are really not likely at the first base position right now. I know Pete Alonso's a big one, but I really don't see the Mets trading him just with their whole, because they're in a playoff spot right now, so I just don't see that happening. So now at second base, they have Jazz Chisholm Jr. on the Miami Marlins. Now, definitely I think Jazz Chisholm will get traded. He's been with the Marlins for a decent amount of time. Obviously, this team was in the postseason last year. They lost a lot of guys in the offseason and really have not been the same this season. Jazz Chisholm currently got 13 home runs, 45 RBIs, 19 stolen bases in 96 games. Not a horrible player. He's obviously been playing, I think, the outfield a lot more this season than last season in center field. So definitely have him at second base. Could definitely play there as well. He's got a high buzz factor. I think a lot of teams could be needing him. So definitely an interesting player for sure. We'll kind of see what teams he can attract. I've heard a lot of different teams about Jazz Chisholm with all the reports we've been seeing. There's not really been one to stand out yet, but he's definitely another one that the Marlins are going to trade. Now going to the shortstop position, it is Paul DeJong on the Chicago White Sox. Another White Sox I think that's going to get traded. This team is obviously going to sell as much as they can with some of the assets that they have. So definitely going to see him. Paul DeJong has had an interesting last couple of seasons. He got 16 home runs in 91 games, and he's set to be a free agent at the end of the season, so it only makes sense for the Chicago White Sox to try to get rid of him. But his buzz factor is a medium right now. We've seen him get traded to the Blue Jays, what was it, last season or something like that. Then he signs with the White Sox, or he's been traded a lot in his career. So we'll see what happens. We went from the Cardinals to then the Blue Jays to now the White Sox. So we'll kind of see what he's worth, by what the teams are offering, because it's definitely going to be pretty interesting. Now, at the third base position, they have Luis Rengifo from the Los Angeles Angels. Now, Rengifo is an interesting one. I feel like he's been a pretty good player for the Angels looking forward. I don't think he's that bad of a player. So definitely could get some buzz factor for sure. They have him at a medium right now. The reason I feel like he's going to get traded is just with the Angels' recent draft pick. They obviously drafted a second baseman in Moore, so he's probably going to play second base, I imagine, the start of next season, because they like to fast track people. So that's just how it is. And if you look at their infield, it's going to be all draft picks with Zach Neto, Nolan Shenwell at first base, and then Moore at second base. So definitely kind of interesting where they have Rengifo, honestly. But, I definitely think he could help a decent amount of teams, especially in a new environment. So definitely could be interesting, because he still has the last year arbitration, I think, in 2025. So could definitely be interesting. We'll see if the Angels extend him or trade him. But yeah, he's definitely at a meteor, the buzz factor. A couple teams asking about his name in trades. Now, I think one that's going to be surprising a lot of people, but in left field, they have Randy Arozarena from the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, before we get into this, the buzz factor is low on him, because they do think there are a lot of other left fielders like Jesse Winker, Taylor Ward, and Michael Andujar that could get traded at the left field position. But just being with the Rays where they're at this season, they're obviously not the best, right? They're not in that postseason winning position anymore. So, they've said they're going to look at offers. They said they're going to take in offers on what different a lot of players. They've already traded their 2 relief pitchers in this trade deadline so far. So they definitely said they're going to take offers, but I really doubt seeing Randy Arozarena with another team, to be honest. I just don't see it happening. And, we'll wait and see, because if they do deal him, I imagine it's got to be the NL, man. I would have to imagine it would be. But yeah, definitely a lot of question marks on his name. We'll see what the Rays move forward, but very low for Randy Arozarena. Now, I feel like center field is pretty obvious. Luis Robert Jr. from the Chicago White Sox is obviously the center fielder. Been playing definitely the White Sox best player throughout the last couple of seasons for this team. I mean, he's definitely been the best, for sure. I mean, since he came back from that injury, he's had 9 home runs, 19 RBIs, 10 stolen bases in 38 games. So he's been really good. And, I definitely think when he signed that extension, in 2021. He thought this team was going to be good, or 2020, I think he signed it when they're actually winning it in the postseason. I think he thought this team was going to be good, and that really hasn't happened anymore. So Robert is signed through 2025, and then his contract has a $20 million club option for 26 and 27. So you definitely have a lot of control of him moving forward, and if you want to trade him. And me personally, I just want to see him on another team. Like, I really do. His buzz factor is high. He, I think, is going to be one of the first ones that, that the White Sox get rid of. And especially with that couple extra years, they could definitely offer or ask for a lot more, from the White Sox side. So definitely interested to see what the White Sox do. They have so many options on the board, and there's just a couple more that we're going to talk about in this video. So yeah, definitely I think one of the pioneers for the White Sox that has to get traded is Luis Robert Jr. Now in right field, they have Lane Thomas from the Washington Nationals. Now Nationals, once again, haven't had the best season this year, which we expected, but they did have glimpses of hope. They were almost in that wild card spot at time to time. I think they're in the last of the NL right now, so not the best. But, once again, they're in that big mix of wildcard teams. But I just don't think they're going to make it. They don't have the firepower for this squad moving forward. And, I think Lane Thomas has been one of their best players. I think if you look at him, look at all the stats, he's been really good. And especially because we know James Wood is up here now, another outfield, and Dylan Cruz is last year's second overall pick is also supposed to come up. So look at their outfield. It's going to be two top prospects. So Lane Thomas could be on the way out in Washington if you think about it like that. His buzz factor is medium right now, so we'll kind of see what happens. But definitely could be an interesting piece for a team moving forward in the outfield. But, me and buzz factor, we'll see. I do like what the Nationals are doing with all these prospects. I think they definitely could get back up to the top. So not a horrible idea to look at trade offers for Thomas. Now looking at the DH role, I think Brent Rooker from the Oakland Athletics is definitely going to get traded. He has a high buzz factor on his one. I think if there's one player the A's should trade, it should be Brent Rooker. 100%. He's been really good for this team. He hit 30 home runs last year. Here he has 22 home runs in the 86 games with Oakland this season. And he's been really solid. If you look at his control and his eligibility and all that stuff, he's got arbitration for the next 3 seasons. And he turns 30 in this November. So like I said, it's very unlikely that he'll be around when they win. I do think when they get that new stadium, they're going to be likely to win in 2028. That's my opinion. So he's not going to be part of the future is what I'm saying. So that's why I feel like they're going to get rid of him. It's been one of their best bats for sure. So can definitely see him going somewhere else. And I think a lot of teams would need a solid home run hitter. So I think Brent Rooker's really likely to get traded moving forward. Moving on to pitching now, they have the right-handed starting pitcher Jack Flaherty from the Tigers being the most likely to get traded. His buzz factor is high. Now, considering where Detroit is at with all their pitching and all their players, I do find it hard to believe that they would trade like one of their best players in Jack Flaherty. But once again, last year they were likely to trade him too, so that's why I feel like it's more and more likely to happen. It's just hard for me to see him trading, but if you look at the last couple of starts for him, hasn't really been the best. Maybe they can get something for him. We'll kind of wait and see. I don't know. Me personally, I don't see it happening, but all the writers do. So I would trust the writers more than myself. You know what I'm saying? So definitely interesting spot for the Tigers right now, because I really did think this was going to be their year to get back in that postseason, at least compete for the wild card. But it really doesn't seem like they're going to be doing that this season, unfortunately. So, yeah, Jack Flaherty could be on his way out to another team. No teams really listed yet, but he's definitely had his name talked about a lot during these talks, so definitely interesting. And the left-handed starting pitcher is going to be Garrett Crochet from the Chicago White Sox once again. He has been one of the best players for this team moving forward. I mean, he's only 25, really young, made the AL All-Star team as well. He's led the league in strikeouts and a ton of other categories. So definitely a high buzz factor him for sure. And they did think Crochet was going to be here for that early rebuild phase that they were going to have with Dylan Cease, but obviously we know how that worked out. So yeah, that's not going to happen. But there was a recent report as I'm recording this video though of the Dodgers having strong trade interest for Garrett Crochet. So definitely could be interesting to see if the Dodgers could get him, because we know the Dodgers need pitching help. I mean, this is a known fact. We obviously saw last year what happened when they had no pitching. They got absolutely destroyed by the Diamondbacks. So they don't want to repeat that again. So definitely going to need some strong pitchers in LA. And the right-handed relief pitcher they have is Carlos Estevez from the Los Angeles Angels. Now, he got a high buzz factor for sure. He's definitely been a solid player for the Angels. Kind of underrated, I think. I haven't really heard his name around too much. But he's been a solid relief pitcher. He's 18 for 21 in save opportunities this season, so not terrible. It is an Angels pitcher, so some people have their questions obviously about that. He's a free agent at the end of the season, so another reason they could get rid of him. Obviously, I think they did sign him at the beginning of the season because they signed like 4 relief pitchers. I'm not sure if he was one of them, but yeah, definitely a high buzz factor. We'll see what happens with Estevez moving forward. Coming for our last player, obviously the left-hander relief pitcher is going to be Tanner Scott from the Miami Marlins. Pretty self-explanatory right here. This guy's been unbelievable for this team. He's got a 1.27 ERA, 16 saves, and 41 appearances, and he's on the NL All-Star squad. So just high buzz factor, of course, with this player. Seeing what the Marlins have done, obviously they traded Luis Arias to the Padres, and the GM saying that they're not going to win, they kind of want to blow it up. It's very hard to see him staying in Miami. So yeah, definitely think he's going to move or get traded. I don't know what team. There's not really teams listed here. Only a couple teams really listed on some of these players if they're absolutely certain on a team where they're going to be moving around. But that is the kind of list that the writers have put together for kind of each position where they think teams are going to be going forward. So definitely interesting to think about. What do you guys think about all these positions and all these players? Let me know in the comment section down below. Is there someone we missed that you think could get traded? Let me know in the comment section down below. But definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. But if you guys did enjoy this one, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everyone.